I do want to point out specifically, like, the main matchup is going to be between, the two fire Pokemon here. We're going to go see the damage output and mobility of the Fletchling into the Talonflame later down the line versus, the straight output damage of Curios here on that on the Cinderace later down the line. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, just seeing how the levels go for both of these people, and both these players, especially moving into that final bit here. So just a lot to keep in mind.
I think one of the things I wanted to point out was Rin playing as that Talonflame now, because we earlier saw the Aegislash play and was doing pretty well with that, but this time, maybe trying to adjust what they can do here. Slash Can actually trying to go forward instead of back, and so that Chansey is going to fall right there pretty early on. Like we say, not the end of the world, of course. Overlord actually being sent back and sent packing. So Retsu coming out. We have two amazing Lucarios when you consider both of those players, so definitely keep your eyes peeled, keep them locked on those Lucarios for both these teams, looking very solid.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea, and once again, switching up the way how these lanes are working, that's the joy of Pokemon Unite right now. You can switch up the lanes and just give them different looks here. So as we see, Chaotic is usually in the mid lane, is going to be swapping out and letting Curios actually get that, but currently, the Blissey is dropping a couple times here, not quite getting the levels that they need, and now they're looking to get even more aggressive. Team Blossom trying to push away Mopwop off of this spot here, but yeah, Team Blossom is just trying to apply more pressure here.
It's nice momentum from Team Blossom, especially on this bottom path. Even if you're scoring in 4 or 5 points or something like that, it might seem small, but for this early part of the game, that's great. Retsu actually sitting here with full pockets for a beginning game, have 30, that would be pretty nice too. But, you're going to get a small burst of HP, you're going to get a small bit of XP and stuff, so each one of those scores is just momentum. Sometimes you can even use the score to maybe cancel out a move that's about to hit you or something if you time it correctly. Notice that tanky Slowbro going to be brought down by the A9 from Blackhand. That's a Team Blossom finally going to be losing somebody here, as we saw they were getting a lot of that snowballed momentum, that normally we attribute to Blackhand, but this time in the other direction.
Yeah, just once again applying a lot of pressure. You have a lot of crowd control ability from the Slowbro early, and it's all going to come down to the timing of Safeguard for Slash Can here. How well can you utilize that in order to protect the people who needs to be protected in these fights, and how well can you really secure down the rest of this game here? So we'll see how it is going to be played out, and if Blackhand can keep the levels going.
Faz was looking pretty good there. We saw the quick telekinesis, and then it went right into the surf, of course, for the bees and stuff. We're actually seeing kind of a repeat right there, but that first time it was to actually hold off some of the players, not of the farm itself. And so now we have the Dreadnought, we have the Rotom, so these are your main objectives. Of course, first, we often look to these. This might be a big team fight. You see Ren trying to secure down a few of these Wild Audino first, and then we're going to go ahead and maybe start this fight, right? Because we're seeing everybody kind of zoned exactly in position where they need to be, and Team Blossom has maybe just gotten one little hit on that Dread, but now going to contend with the oncoming Blackhand, who's coming in to contest this as well.
Yeah, they just have massive damage coming out from Team Blossom. Retsu dealing a lot of that damage, and Rin also cleaning that up. There goes a Flame Sweep in order to create a little bit more space. But now, Curios trying to get the last hit, and does with a Blazing Bicycle Kick. Going to be able to secure that down for Blackhand. So levels definitely going back in the way of Blackhand, but Team Blossom still having a lot of pressure coming out from the rest of the team here.
Yeah, that was very nice if you're Blackhand. I mean, you love to see that too, because Curios pulling that Blazing Bicycle, as you said, right at the last second. I mean, it looks pretty solid. And so right now, this is a little bit standard, but like also at the same time, sometimes you'll see a lot of people rotate up for the Rotom, right? But if they're not, they're going to make this push on the bottom goal. You have all this momentum after a Dreadnought, so you might make that push. So there are a few ways that we typically see things go kind of in the higher ranks here. But right now, it's kind of those two at the top, for both teams, we should say, because it's kind of 4 total. But then you have everybody on the bottom. That's going to be 6 players total. So really, we are, I guess, diverting resources appropriately. Look at this. Maybe a massive 40 dropped in from Overlord right there on the top pad. That will confirm. And Team Blossom will go ahead and take the Rotom.
Yeah, Team Blossom just applying a little bit more pressure with that. They do happen to get the score in, so we'll see if Team Blossom is going to try to sneak in, maybe dunk quite a bit into this last bit of the goal here. They can't really defend against that thanks to the the buff that it does apply there. So Team Blossom is going to be able to break that top goal, and Black Hand is trying to return the favor. Is going to trade that out there. So Retsu pushing a little bit too aggressively here, as Overlord and Curios is going to be able to clean that up. So now it's just going to be a matter of how well is the rest of the team going to apply their pressure and or get in position here for that Dreadnought.
We see Rin, of course, securing some buffs, going to get some of those wild Pokemon there in the central area, and also possibly be interrupted by the Lucario. I'm not sure if Black Hand's Lucario Overlord is going to go ahead and maybe try to steal some of that or not. We're seeing they're kind of doing a dance around each other, but there's the rings unbound, and it's going to be for both teams. We also had a Snow Globe. Was that actually interrupted, though, by Faz? I believe it might have been. There was a Telekinesis down, and right now Elo going to be doing a little bit of damage, trying to zone off everybody, and there's the Snow Globe from Elo. And then here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is stepping up because we had the Blazing Bicycle kick as well and the Bliss Assistance. Man, this is absolutely deadly, and that's going to be Black Hand just making a huge push on this and then making a lot of Team Blossom drop, which is very hard to do. You know, Team Blossom well stacked, well equipped, so that will be a Dreadnought for Black Hand. Looking great, and I just got to say, Junkie GS there in our chat, big fan, thank you for being here.
Yeah, just a lot to cover here as we see this matchup overall, and the big thing that I want to point out was how important Mopwop's Unite move was there. You utilize not only bringing your team down, but also securing 2 kills, getting a couple stuns, and holding some players in place just for Curios in order to get some more damage, allow, you know, most of your team to go ahead and sweep through here is really important. So really good play overall by Black Hand to try to secure that. Maybe trading out and waiting a little bit too much here, but overall just a good fight down at the bottom.
You saw Rin just deadly there with that Talonflame on that KO streak of 2, coming off a lot of momentum. You know, it was also like, hey, are they pushing back Rin at that moment? No, he turned around and was able to basically pull a reversal, or it might have just been a reversal before it even happened, which would not make it a reversal technically. But anyway, we do see a Rotom right now going now for Black Hand. But when you look at these teams' score, and especially where we're at in the game at about 2 minutes and 40 seconds coming up, it is nuts because Team Blossom at 239 to 192 for Black Hand. That's a pretty close match, especially when you have these behemoths in the scene. Although you are noticing who's dropping right now. Few of Black Hand's members right here. And we do have about 30 seconds now for that Zapdos, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, get hyped.
Yeah, a lot of these teams have to figure out how they're going to go ahead and play this out. So playing it quite safely, just got to figure out how they want to approach this mid lane, and knowing that both of the teams are pretty close, it's going to be all about positioning and who can actually go and get this push through.
And so we are seeing a raid come on in, so thank you so much for Back to Zero for raiding with that party of 3. We really appreciate that as we enter our first final stretch of the Grand Finals. It says you can do it. You absolutely can do it. If you're a Black Hand right now, it could come down to the Zapdos, or it could just come down to a few points because you don't even need that full hundo to turn this around right now. But you are seeing what's going on with Team Blossom. Notice that Lucario, that's Retsu, going to be up there on the top path, and we'll secure that. So that is what a goal. Ladies and gentlemen, then the rings unbound. That's a perfect strategy. You score, then bring them back on in for that legendary pit. So this is where the fight is going to turn up. The intensity is going like mad. You saw some Snow Globe. You saw a little bit of everything, right? The Unite moves are just flying, and it's basically before I can even call them out, right? Because right now the team fight is kind of a little bit away from the Zap, and so whichever team comes out of this right now, Blossom looking a little bit ahead, actually a lot more ahead now, but whichever team came out of that, I was going to say, can make the push on the Zap with a little bit less to worry about other than that.
Yeah, the main objective here, you do see that Black Hand is slowly starting to spawn back in, but the damage is starting to get close. You see Slashcan trying to contest, but Team Blossom is going to be able to lock that down. The thing that we wanted to point out here is the way how Team Blossom is able to pick off and stagger Black Hand in certain fights. In this one in particular, you do see it looked a little messy coming out at the bottom, but a lot of the team was trying to pull them away from not only just the objective, but also just good positioning to win the fight. So really good on Team Blossom to just kind of pick apart Black Hand in that fight and make sure that they can get whatever they need here. They understand that they might have, you know, a ridiculous lead, but we'll see if Black Hand wants to try to get some scores, you know, play this out, have a little bit more time to think about how they want to play the next game, and go from there.
That'll be once again, especially with 10 seconds left, but even before then, it's one of those situations where the math just really is not on your on your side. I was going to say your squad, and I do not know why, but ladies and gentlemen, the time is up. And so back to Zero says, Blam, I'm here now for the banger commentary from you two. Well, we really appreciate it here on Kanashi's birthday. What an intense grand finals match, but really stacked in the favor of Team Blossom, as you're going to see in the score breakdown. That will be the final score of 823 for Team Blossom there in the orange to 272 from Blackhand. You've just heard the ready go, ladies and gentlemen, now for Game 2 in our grand finals of Victory Road Unite Clash number 9. And so right now we're seeing pretty much standard, so you're going to look at that 1-1-3 most likely. Yes, we can pretty much confirm that. And so, of course, your central area players are going to be that Fletchling for Team Blossom, and then you got your Blastoise right there, which really needs the levels, of course, for Blackhand, currently as a Squirtle, obviously. But yeah, this is one of those Kanashi that we mentioned earlier, just like Bulbasaur. You really do want that, it's an uphill journey, it's a sort of a longer journey, but you want to reach that evolution, you want to be higher up, kind of earlier on in the game when you're playing as that Blastoise.
Yeah, and we'll see if they are going to go for that, for the Skull Bash Water Gun combo early to potentially, catch Retsu out as soon as possible and maybe get a kill. We'll see if they happen to get that KO, but it's going to start off here. Rin trying to dive in on the back line here onto Overlord, but both of them are just playing it nice and steady. Just trying to figure out a way how to keep that damage going for them, keep the experience flowing towards them. And yeah, once again, they're just trying to fill each other out.
Combi and Vespiquen will go down after that 850, and so it happens very quickly on the bottom lane. I know you guys may not always see who's going to get it, but sometimes if you're astute or if you're just making sure to look at which team is going to get those points, they might. There's the Mini Dread. That's the Audino that spawns sort of in the top middle of the bottom path. And right now, Overlord sending Retsu on the run, along with that Wartortle. Curios sending down the Water Spout Kanashi. And so we can confirm at least the Water Spout right now. I'm going to be dropping down on the heads. That does have the slowing effect as well. So if you do have somebody running back like that, sometimes that's your opportunity to work with your other teammates, like they could have in that situation, possibly to maybe catch somebody who's trying to flee.
Yeah, and they are just going to back out, utilize the trick and the little speed that they get. But as you see, Team Blossom currently down here trying to maybe poke and prod, maybe grab a couple KOs, but they are dropping really low here. So Blackhand trying to maybe collapse onto this, but they don't have the numbers advantage. So they might just try to take up as much space as possible, just see what they can get, and play it safe. We do have the first objective spawning in about 40 seconds, so definitely a lot to look forward to.
Overlord taking a few of these wild Pokemon right now. We got to hit some of these Corphish and take advantage, man. Take advantage. And so there's going to be a few E-speeds here and there. Everybody contesting for that. We're obviously looking for 720 for the next Combi and Vespiquen. You look at the Dreadnought, of course, as well. We got those timers on the mini-map right now, coming in about 20 seconds, not only for the Rotom, but for the Dreadnought as well. And so there they go. There goes that Combi and Vespiquen. Nice source of XP, but also maybe a few points if your pockets aren't full. But Overlord currently with Retsu, 30 and 30. They are looking to drop, but probably rotate first. As I say.
Yeah, the rapid spin is going to be able to get them out of there, so good play overall to prevent you from getting held up here. Faz is going to use the Surf just to create a little bit of space here. We do see the Water Spout as well, so it's kind of a damage build. Slash Can going to get dropped immediately. They're looking at Elo next. They do get Elo. Mop Wop is going to drop as well. And now Chaotic trying to get a little bit of damage going their way, but is going to drop as well. Doesn't quite have the Aurora Veil up to prevent some of that damage. So Team Blossom has a lot of space for their side right now. Kind of looking at the Dreadnought, the Flame Sweep going in onto Overlord, trying to break him down, but the Extreme Speed is going to be able to grab a kill on the way out. This is a huge KO for them, but they are going to have to trade that out. Dreadnought dropping to about a quarter. The damage going through. Did it happen to go to Blackhand? The last hit actually goes for Slash Can, getting that last hit, and now they are going to go ahead and collapse on the rest of Team Blossom and get those KOs as they are going to be pushing forward into their first goal.
Blackhand certainly wants this momentum after the last game going to Team Blossom, but look at this. There was really not a lot of scores on the board, and we're already just about to be at that 5-minute mark, so we're certainly in that mid-game of Pokemon Unite right now. But, again, it was like just before this kind of main push after the Dreadnought from Blackhand, there really was, I guess it was 9-12 or so, all the way up through about 4 minutes of that matchup. So that's pretty intense, if you have these teams battling it out that deeply and that level of intensity, basically.
Yeah, they are just duking it out, just trying to keep the damage going for them. Um, but yeah, you see, level 11 Blastoise just going around. Can't be stopped by the Team Blossom is just gonna go ahead and pick off a couple in bottom lane. But if anything, it's just creating space for the backline for Blackhand to go ahead and get a couple scores in, and possibly even break that first goal. And they are going to, thanks to Overlord, trying to get a couple of pickoffs as well. You see them chasing Mike Spam. Can he get away? He does have the trick. Just a little bit of HP and the eject button, and he's going to eject button forward actually to go ahead and secure that kill. So good on the Blastoise to go ahead and secure that down. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see if these guys actually go for certain objectives here.
Man, that eject on ejects, because you eject to escape and then your foes eject to catch up with you. And look at this, Overlord going to be bringing down the tank. And so right there's going to be the Aura Cannon, which reverses the situation. That's Retsu, very nicely played. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be a KO though from Rin. After all that damage from Retsu is kind of the implied. There's going to be a nice 2 dunked in really quickly before you head on out of there. Rin going to be in a lot of trouble though, and not only slowed, but really the HP was down very, very low before even the escape was taking place.
Yeah, they happen to get that last hit going their way, and now the next objective is going to go ahead and spawn. Dreadnought is back up. Hoops Unbound going to be popped by Team Blossom to go ahead and bring everybody back down. So's same thing with Blackhand. They're going to try to bring out everybody. You do see the Snow Globe dealing massive damage and trying to figure out a way to get a couple picks. First pick is going to go towards Blackhand, though, going to be able to get that first one. Flame Sweep going off by Rin, trying to push away Chaotic from this Dreadnought. But the rest of Blackhand is just surrounding them. They happen to get that last hit going their way. And now, just applying more pressure, Blackhand is trying to eat up even more of the space.
I think if you ask me, what has Blackhand done differently, it really is a lot of different parts of the matchup that they've, I would say it's in all spaces of the match. It's not just one thing in general, but also seeing this comp that ran the Blastoise, that's been looking pretty nice. So definitely wonderful job from Team Blackhand, but like we say, it's not over till it's over. So we still have just about a minute until that final stretch, a little bit over. And of course, Rotom being rapid spinned all over the place with the Hydro Typhoon coming in, as well as the Brave Bird there from Rin. But yes, that will go ahead and secure for Blackhand to add just a little bit more pressure before we head into that final minute before the final stretch.
Yeah, and they are looking to go ahead and prevent any citrus berries from getting spawned up here. So Blackhand just applying more pressure, just not allowing them to really play around what they want to here. So we'll see if that happens to be the case moving forward. Blackhand just having the lead right now, and not only goals but also positioning. And as we slowly move into this final matchup here, this is the adjustment that we've wanted to see from Blackhand. They have this Blastoise, high levels, ready to roll, has the damage available for the team, and with also energy amplifier, they do have a lot more opportunities to use the Hydro Typhoon. They are going to be able to find one pick off here to start things off, and we'll see if the Hydro Typhoon does come out here. They're trying to keep up the rest of the team. They are going to grab one pick off, and now they're looking at Retsu. Overlord does drop as we are getting closer and closer to this final stretch.
Team Blossom gotta feel a little bit upset. There was probably some pain involved with waiting in that tall grass and then being detected, whether that was intended or not, by the Blastoise Kyrios from Blackhand. And so right now, the alert is saying don't give up for Team Blossom, because yes, you certainly don't want to give up in this moment with 201 to 67, but that zap play really could flip things. So there's the Rings Unbound. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where those Unite moves start to fly. So we're going to see other people start to fly too, because they're going to drop. And so right here, we got to really be watching out for that Hoopa. Yes, Team Blossom going to lose 2 of their players right now. You got your tankiness and some of your major support, but Rin is looking to tear that Zapdos apart. But right side team will go ahead and confirm that. So Blackhand looking very good with that Zapdos play, and it was definitely not without contest. So Slash Can, Kyrios, they're coming in to dump these Hundo Burgers. There it is right here. So what a goal also on the bottom path. And then here we go. We're going to start see those points start to rack up. Team Blossom trying to respond with some of theirs, but they say, nah, we'll throw up the white flag. Kanashi, what a crazy turn of events, because we now have a 1-1, meaning that each team has won one match so far here in the grand finals. And remember, this is best of 5 with that final score here in game 2 of 167. and 597. Right out the gate, we're going to be looking at Black Hand. And of course, we got our triples going down here on the bottom path, but we got the Blastoise player, currently as a Squirtle, clearly, going to be hanging out in the central. And Rin going to be in the central area for Team Blossom, as that Greninja loves to do this, because you have a lot more mobility. You have that speed to just sort of break in and interject yourself into a lot of fights, as that jungler, as that middle area person. So it's a pretty nice pick.
Yeah, and you do see them playing around each other, just making sure that they have their HP ready to go. Contesting everything using heal pulse, dropping really low, and they might just have to back up just a little bit. But overall, very even at the very beginning of this match. There's not a lot moving towards one side or the other.
And so right now, I think that's kind of the main point, right? Of, it's like we're not really going into either side yet. Of course, we're only a minute down, and so they're going to go ahead and take those APOM that they left before, transition very nicely, Overlord, very well timed, to go ahead and hit this Corphish as well. And so it looks like Faz and crew also did that for Team Blossom, as they now await that 850.
Yeah, 850 first bees is going to spawn out, and now Overlord trying to get some damage down and protecting themselves. Curios trying to get a little bit more. Can they blink and maybe get a couple more? That is the case here. They're looking at Rin. Curios utilizing that water spout to try to get some of that damage down, and Rin going to be able to use the smoke screen, but no, the meteor mash going to catch him in the middle of the smoke, completely blind. Really good play and heads up by Black Hand that round.
Yeah, what a nice little meteor mash slam, and Pete really hitting them at the very tip, right, of the fingers almost. It was like the one finger death punch. And so anyway, we're now seeing Black Hand with 45 to Team Blossom 17. Just about to hit that 8 minutes. That's a pretty, even score for the most part when you're looking at this early on. But Black Hand certainly with the score advantage. And so, obviously, you got to go for these wild Pokemon. We might see Team Blossom with Retsu. They're going to maybe score in a few, but nah, maybe going to prioritize instead some of the wild Pokemon. That's probably a little bit more the better option, hanging out in the tall grass here on the top path.
Yeah, it is something that, Team Blossom has to kind of deal with, is this Blastoise and the leveling that is coming out from them right now. So, not only do you have to deal now with having water spout to deal with, you also have to deal with the rapid spin that could potentially follow up with it.
That's right, we're seeing a massive team fight here on the bottom path, and so Team Blossom are ready to bring all of their players, I would say, bring everybody, all hands on deck perhaps. We'll see what happens with Lucario there from the top path. Likely, that's, especially on the second dread, you'd see like a Rings Unbound or something go off. But yeah, we're going to see Retsu go ahead, back to base. Actually, both Lucario, so copy and paste that right now for Black Hand as we head into this Dreadnought fight. But really, there's a skirmish way before that's happening, because Faz dipping very low. There's your tank who's been singing I Will Survive for this whole tourney. Will he survive this? Ladies and gentlemen, find out soon.
Yeah, Retsu trying to clean up the rest of this. You do see the shuriken going through, trying to get some damage, and Elo Unite still hanging on with very little HP, but just enough to help Team Blossom go ahead and secure down this Dreadnought if they have the time for it. Black Hand doesn't really have the positioning to go ahead and get there, but they might have enough to turn it around. They are going to grab Faz first, so no Sing is available. Mike Spam might have tried to get them out with the trick, but just a little bit too late that time. So Black Hand may have given up the objective, but is able to turn around a couple of KOs in their favor.
And so obviously you want to keep your eyes on the mini-map a little bit at this stage of the game, because as spectators, we want to see where everybody's going, right? And so you have those other options that we discussed before, which is after the Dread, there's oftentimes the chance to kind of make a push. You've got the shields, the experience, the momentum. Oftentimes players are down on the other squad, but also you can make the rotation to Rotom, and then some of your, resources might be diverted to other directions. But right now, Retsu bringing it down for the most part. We're looking to see if there's going to be a steal with the Aura Cannon coming out at the last second to secure that Rotom down. Retsu going to also deal a little bit of damage and have that momentum to score in. Maybe this 40. No, we'll back off right there because he saw, of course, about to be contested for that. But then on the bottom path, we're going to see a lot of pressure as well. And so both teams just giving it to each other, I would say, at this stage. But Black Hand starting to drop. We're going to see if Team Blossom is going to come out on top here on the bottom path. It does seem that will be the case.
Yeah, Team Blossom is now rolling with the experience lead. You see most of them are level 9 minimum. Meanwhile, the rest of Black Hand is trying to play catch up here in terms of just getting the experience. So it is very difficult for Black Hand to go ahead and get these levels going their way. And it they just have to find map. They have to find some mob Pokemon to go ahead and farm, either in the central area, maybe even find a couple of team fights that they could win. But definitely has been able to recover and respond back to what Blackhand did last game.
You saw Slash Can down there. That was on the bottom path, of course, trying to just get in. There was like a quick 10, of course, but really just divert everybody for as long as possible, because at that stage, you know, there were many players on that Blissey. We're going to see the rings unbound, times that by 2, so make that a double order. Right side team, that's Team Blossom, going to take that Dread super quickly, and then we're going to notice all of those maneuvers. The Hydro Typhoon, we got the Bliss Assistants, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to be rapid spinning all over the place to try to take out Rin, who's been out of control with the levels, and then the Water Burst Shuriken coming down here on the bottom path for the reversal, looking very nice. And so Slash Can seeing a lot of health gone as well, so really we could see a whole team wipe just at different times.
Yeah, and they just had positioning there. Team Blossom was able to just push forward, eat up as much of the space as possible, grab the Dreadnought, and that just worked out really well for them. So good job on Team Blossom to go ahead and know that they have the levels and the advantage going their way, and just keep rolling with it. Now, Blackhand, on the other hand, might try to go and look for Rotom as well, maybe take a little bit more map positioning, but we won't know until we actually get into these last couple minutes here.
We'll definitely look to those last few minutes, but certainly at this stage of the match, you're looking either to Rotom or you're going to try to just farm up. You know, you get some of these wild Pokemon. Of course, Team Blossom right now will secure that Rotom as we see, so it's actually got a full lane to go all the way through on that top path. We're now seeing the Hydro Typhoon once again from the Blastoise, and Slash Can trying to keep them alive, trying to do everything that they can together, and then just back out after that push. Now we're seeing, of course, Blackhand has to kind of contest the Rotom. They're going to contend with that and defend. So that's likely where you're seeing everybody on the top path going. But obviously, we also have Hoopa down here. That's Mop Wop and Slash Can. They have some other things to deal with. So definitely a lot of map activity.
Yeah, they're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible, but it looks like Blackhand trying to catch a couple players out here right at the start of potentially that 2-minute mark so that they could get that quick advantage there. Overlord might have stayed a little bit too long this time, and they are going to punish him for overextending that time. So now it's time for Team Blossom to figure out if they do want to go for this Dreadnought. And it looks like that is going to be the case. They are going to try to rip that. It's going to be really difficult, especially when you have a couple members of Blackhand just kind of chilling around, but they are going to be able to take it and have that advantage going into the Zapdos pit.
Team Blossom really put the position out for Blackhand. I mean, they just didn't have the positioning, like I said, but also they didn't even have the numbers there the whole time. So really, that Dreadnought, I think that fight was sort of just guaranteed for Blossom at that point. But we are in that final stretch. Blackhand is going to see that alert that says we're in trouble. It doesn't look as bad, though, when you're looking at the final stretch. If you just have a little bit over 100, that's okay, because we're really just about 2 full pockets away from scoring in. And so we just have to see who's going to get that Blastoise. It really is coming to that fight, because we see everybody hanging around the legendary pit. They got to determine, you know, do we divert our resources? It does look like Blackhand sort of scattered about. Maybe that's going to help, maybe that's going to hurt, because Blossom really has the numbers all together. So you have to wonder, you know, are they trying to pull something like that? Mike Spam going to pull off that Rings Unbound. So we got the Hoopa right here, and likely both teams, because we're seeing some of those hands flying. And so, yeah, we are definitely seeing hands fly right here. There's a lot of actually movement all around for both teams. It actually gave Elo enough time to back to base, get that health back, Kanashi, and then try to join in this fight very quickly, because that Zapdos still has the health. And so they're able to jump in with that Aurora Veil as well. So what do you think is going to happen right here? Because we have both teams actually contesting, and they're contending for this, and people are dropping a little bit, but not too many. It's just their health is dropping. We saw what a goal right there, because there was a score in from Blackhand to try to, you know, close the gap just a little bit. But here it comes, Kanashi. Let me know what's going to happen, as right side team is going to take this.
Yeah, Team Blossom is going to be able to secure that down, and now it's going to be up to Blackhand to try to stop some of these goals, but the play can go the other way too. Like, they are down quite a bit, but the thing is, if they don't TP back fast enough, we might be able to see the Hoopa, if they happen to have, you know, enough time to go ahead and farm. If we do see the Hoops Unbound come through to go ahead and move the entire team into the spawn, that is a play that can happen, but it doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like, you know, they understand Team Blossom did secure that down, and Blackhand is going to be able to secure this game here. So really good heads up play by Team Blossom in order to just keep the pressure up and go ahead and secure down that Zapdos to win game 3 here. It's 2-1 with Blossom in the lead. So now it's just a matter of how is Blackhand going to answer back, and they kind of go back to something that is tried and true for them, the triple support here.
And so, yeah, we don't often make it to a Game 4 on these Unite clashes in the Grand Finals. That's kind of surprising. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but I would say it's not super often. If there is a Moltres that comes to the game, by the way, I want to go ahead and get my copyright claim in now and claim the term Kentucky Fried Moltres, because I'm going to be saying that when you're bringing that Moltres down. So just be looking out for that in the future, all right? But anyway, you guys give your opinions in the chat, what you think about Zap. Maybe we can read them after the match or something, or in a low point of the match, like a slower point. But we're seeing the action. It's all taking place in the places that you would imagine, right? Because we have the Duraludon now as that central area player for Blackhand, but we're sticking with the Rin running with the Greninja in the central area for Team Blossom. And right now, because we're only a minute down, we're just seeing a score of 7 there for Blackhand, 0, of course, on Team Blossom, but that's because we're only a minute in. I've seen a lot of contests, though, for these wild Pokemon there on the bottom path especially, though. But
yeah, no, the thing is, playing it kind of the same way as you're comfortable with. You see Blackhand going back to that triple support. You have Team Blossom going with the Greninja as well for a little bit of the extra damage, and this time you see Overlord getting the better here in that top lane with a little bit of assistance from the rest of the team. But it's something that it's just a matter of figuring out your adjustments and playing the game that you want to. So interesting that Blackhand really went back to that first game lineup that worked for them throughout the entire tournament, and hoping that it will actually make a difference here. And later down the line, once we start getting to that the first objectives, we will see if it really pays off for them.
Just want to put everybody's attention to our chat where we see Lingy saying hi right there. Huge fan. Thank you so much for joining us, Lingy from the Gigalings. But ladies and gentlemen, Team Blossom now throwing that 34 in all of our faces, right? Because we're seeing 34-7. And when you're early on, that's a little bit more significant. But right here, I'm just kind of noticing like where everybody is on the mini map. We're seeing sort of a lot of movement, I guess, with the Blissey, having to teleport back, but really just a lot of movement on that bottom path. So that sort of seems to be where the emphasis is. Oftentimes your central area player, they're joining that top path a lot of the time. So this will be a little bit of a interesting, diversion from that as we see the mini dread is starting to go down. Yes, that odd, big contest for that as Rin secures a KO here on the bottom path.
Yeah, and we are slowly getting into that B spawn, and then we'll slowly start getting into that Dreadnought as well. So we will hopefully get to see these teams maybe start pushing forward a little bit. As right now the levels are pretty even. They are playing as evenly as possible, but we do see Rin slowly getting up to that level 9, 8.5 right now. But now they're going to try to start this off. There goes the Sing by Faz, trying to get somebody caught out here, but it's not going to be there in time. Overlord trying to return the favor. Can they get that first kill? They are. The KO is going to go onto the Wigglytuff. Now they're looking at Elo. They're going to grab that one as well. Now Retsu trying to get out of there, trying to get those E-Speed resets. Can they do it? It's not going to be able to be enough to go ahead and take the Dreadnought away from them, though. Blackhand is going to be able to take that. How's the shields going? And looking at Mike Spam next. Can they go ahead and apply this pressure to maybe even break this front goal? If they happen to do that, that will be really big for their positioning, but they still want to go. Overlord still looking at those E-Speeds, but will it be enough to go ahead and break down some of this team? Faz getting a couple sleeps off. Now Slashcan in danger. Going to be the first one to drop for Blackhand here, but the rest of Blackhand is understanding, hey, you know what? The fight is pretty much over. It's time for us to leave while we can. But Curios has to play a little bit of defense. Moplop trying to survive down here too. It's not going to happen. Chaotic, huge Dragon Pulse going to be able to down a little bit of damage here. Now we'll see if they happen to switch it up, and if Faz is going to be the token, the sacrificial sheep, in order for the rest of the team to go ahead and get out of there. You like to see everything that was coming out from Blackhand as far as taking the Dread and then making that push afterwards, but it kind of crumbled after that because you're going up against a team like Blossom who's not going to let that be without punishment if they're able, and they were certainly able. So now Blackhand really has to contend with that, but we are noticing their score. I mean, when you look at that, this is the commentator's curse, is that Pokemon Unite having 10-minute matches, anything can happen just within 10 to 20 seconds. So while you're talking about 1 point, something entirely different could be happening, like for instance this KO now sending Blackhand
Blackhand back the other direction. And so right now, the Rotom is kind of the test, but we are seeing, of course, Retsu hanging out in the grass for Team Blossom, maybe going to look to take that Rotom away, stealing all that work, but no, Blackhand will secure that. And then we're seeing a few dunks here on the bottom path, though, from Team Blossom.
Yeah, just getting a couple dunks in there, you know, applying the pressure that they can while they can. And yeah, just finding the opportunities and really just playing to what the other team is giving them. So really good play. We'll see if they change up anything. They do have the first dunk going that way. For Blackhand, they happen to secure down that Rotom. So I don't know how close they are going to try to make that too close to breaking, that they can go for it, but they are starting to prioritize down here. You do see the Hoops Unbound coming out from Team Blossom, followed by the Starlight Recital, and get a little bit more. This Revolving Ruin as well is going to there, but this time the Rotom or the Dreadnought is going to go towards Team Blossom as they continue to get a little bit more for their buck. But meanwhile, Blackhand is trying to reverse it on them, getting a couple more picks and going ahead and breaking that front goal. So now, you know, you may have won the Dreadnought, but was it worth it for the number of Pokemon that had to be sacrificed for it?
Blackhand is looking solid in this match so far. We're about to hit 4 minutes on the clock left in the match. And right now, it seems that, of course, Team Blossom really does want to try to score, close the score gap, we should say. But Blackhand, I mean, you've been doing really well this match. And so are we going to send this to 2-2? For the victories? Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, I want to see what your predictions are as we're, of course, heading into that 340. This is where you're going to start maybe farming down. You're going to look for those wild Pokemon, tend to anything that the map needs, but also maybe secure a Rotom before you then start thinking about Dreadnought if there's enough time for that before that Zapdos play.
Yeah, they definitely need to look to get some Unite moves up and running. But Overlord caught between a Faz and a Mike spam right now. Can they get one? And they are going to turn it around on Mike's or on Faz there, and going to get a couple KOs going their way. Maybe get a little bit more experience for them as well. Slashcan kind of in trouble as well, trying to scoop up some of the Eos energy off of the floor here. Retsu is chasing along with Elo and Mike spam, and they are not going to actually go for it. They are going to back up here. Now they see the score potentially going down at bottom here, and they are going to get that. So Blackhand going to be able to deposit a 40, but meanwhile this top forcing out the Revolving Ruin early by Blackhand. So Chaotic is not going to have that available for the Dread, not the Dread, the Zapdos. I'm getting all of my you know, specifics mixed up here, but the Rotom is going to be able to start marching forward for Blackhand, working for them. So we will see if that amount of pressure is going to force the team to play back, as Blackhand is going to probably get in position for the mid-zap.
Well, to all the viewers at home, when you cast like Kanashi and it's your birthday and you go for about 3.5 hours, we should say, all the objectives maybe start to blend together. And I'm not going to say I would never be laughing at him. I'm definitely laughing with him because I am feeling it too. But we're looking at that final stretch coming up here in just a few seconds. So 274 going into that final stretch is the score for Blackhand at Team Blossom. That means that really just one Hundo Burger could change this for Team Blossom. So we'll see if they want to drop that in, but maybe going to prioritize Zap because right now they're all hitting it. They're obviously Team Blossom. You're seeing those purple colors here swarming around that Zapdos. So this is definitely going to be looking like that's the play. The Water Burst Shuriken goes down, but no, Blackhand is going to be the ones to take that. So Blackhand, look at this. That's going to be a lot of momentum sending them in when they have 274 already to maybe score in some right now and send this to a game where we have 2 for 2 on the victories, and it's just anybody's game at that point. But we still have a few, just a minute and a half approximately to go, and Rin dropping down really low. Kanashi, do you think they're going to be able to come back from this, especially if they're losing some of their team members? We got to see.
Yeah, Blackhand has got to play defense now. You see how close Team Blossom is to potentially even like evening out the score here, and we saw what happened with Blackhand. They tried to send their Hoopa all the way to the back, with Mopwop trying to just get back there, maybe even get another Unite or some form of speed for the team, but they were brought down. So even though they wanted the lead to be more significant than this, it is going to be a lot to deal with moving forward. So Team Blossom definitely trying to find a way in, and can they get it? That is going to be the question. As Faz is going to drop, they're looking at Rin versus Overlord. He has a range on him, but can he get the damage? But Blackhand has 4 down here. They might have to just gauge and figure out where they want to go. If they want to head back up to top, do they have enough time? They are going to send Slashcan up top just for a little bit of viewing. and seeing if they happen to get anything. 20 seconds left in this game, and both of these teams, if anything, Team Blossom is just looking to be the aggressive one here, and Blackhand just playing the defense that they need to right now. Can they close it out with the last 10 seconds ticking away? Elo Unite trying to get a little bit more damage onto Slashcan, but I don't think that they'll have enough time to go ahead and score. So all of this is just cosmetic at the moment. We are going to a game 5 here as Blackhand looks to play defense, looks to take it away at the last second, and it looks like we are going to be pushing for a game 5.
To the viewers at home, that is going to be the last time today that we'll hear the ready go on this stream for our grand finals. 2 victories for each squad. Blackhand, Team Blossom, these juggernauts going at it together right here. Rin, obviously still going with that Greninja as we just saw, picking up that and going for the central area, and we do have that Duraludon back in play, of course, in the central area for Blackhand. So right now, we're running the 1-1-3. Our Lucarios are dueling it out. Retsu right here, stacking it up. You get those Apons, get that experience, go ahead and score in a few here, 7, 4, no matter what, these smaller point values, just fine. And so Elo looking to bring down this Audino and maybe going to get it sniped out of his hands.
Yeah, and the early game is really important for both of these teams. You just see how much pressure they have to apply in order to make sure that their levels are where they need to be. And Overlord going to be able to take out the first, but can they get Retsu as well? We will see Retsu surviving not for long. That was a true caster's curse right there. But that is exactly how it goes down, you know? Blackhand wants to keep the pressure up early. They are trying to keep that tempo going their way, and if it happens to be this way, you know, that is the way how they are going to secure the rest of the game.
Oftentimes, especially when you have teams like this, like high-level play of Unite, you can see it, you can feel it in the teams that they start to perform better when it really comes down to the wire. It's like we're really going to hopefully see that element of surprise here in Unite, but just that element of play for these high level of competition, because basically when you're like, hey, we have 2 and 2, this is for all the marbles, it's just something goes in you, you know, that fire lights in you as a competitor. And so right now, of course, we're seeing Rin actually hanging out in the central area of Blackhand. So they are having to contend with that. Looks like they will. They'll go ahead and pop right in there with that Astonish. So that's looking very nice as Faz is sent on the run as well. So Blackhand looking to kind of make some progress right here on the bottom path. And we'll see if they can push that forward going forward.
Yeah, and they just need to apply that pressure. Once again, it is going to come down to early levels. Earlier in the game, the better. You know, just having a little bit more pressure moving into those first objectives is really important. So we do see a lot of the teams slowly trying to like figure out where they want to go. Blackhand is slowly moving down towards the bottom lane to try to maybe help out with the rest of the team, and we'll see if they are all going to rotate down here. We do see a little bit of a scuffle here. Faz getting caught out a little bit in the Duraludon. Just the damage from Chaotix. Dragon Pulse is going to be able to clean that up. Now Rin coming back to maybe return the favor, but it's not going to be enough. The Dragon Pulse number 2 is going to be able to clean that one. And now Elo Unite kind of caught in the middle of a rock and a Duraludon, and they are going to get brought down as well. Now Mike Spam going to be the last hope here for Team Blossom, trying to maybe get a little bit chaotic. Just these Dragon Pulses are just so ridiculous, and now Team Blossom is going to be able to take down the very confusing bundle of dragon that is the Duraludon. And now they can go ahead and focus maybe on the Dreadnought to see if they can get positioning. The fight might have been won by Blackhand, but Team Blossom is in better position right now, and they are going to actually grab that Dreadnought from them. And so even though, you know, Blackhand did get a couple KOs, the Dreadnought swing going towards Team Blossom.
Chaotic, definitely been fun to watch as that Kaiju Inhaler, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that Duraludon play has been nice. We're seeing it in the chat, and getting that KO streak of 3 before that Dreadnought, I mean, that is just wonderful. But yes, now we're going to see actually Slashcan dropping down pretty low. As that tanky Blissey, though, having enough. Faz also tanking the hits for Team Blossom. So this is definitely not balanced to the scales of either team yet, but Rin is trying to make kind of this come around as we saw one of the players drop right there. Now maybe a push here on the bottom path's goal for Team Blossom, but we're seeing out of nowhere, Chaotic gonna come in with the Revolving Ruin. So there's your Kaiju, there's that Godzilla Inhaler, gonna be throwing that down the building. Yes, it's pulling off the Dragon Pulse, it's pulling down the Revolving Ruin. That AoE is crazy. And so Elo Unite now getting pushed back, and then is gonna be taken out of there by the Hoopa. So ladies and gentlemen, I think now we're gonna be looking maybe towards what's gonna happen with as far as major objectives go. Rotom is still actually in play for this game right now, so Rotom hasn't been hit, but you have the Combi and Vespiquen there. and looks like they're finally going to go down. And so Rin taking a little bit of heat, taking a little bit of that punishment, but it's okay. He is a frog. You know, some of them, it might be okay to just bask in the sun for a little while. Okay, I'm not going to go there. It'd be too cheesy.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about, you know, cooking some frogs in the sun. It do be like that. But yeah, they are just figuring out the way how they want to play this game. Whether it is, you know, to take the Rotom, both of them are just kind of ignoring Rotom right now. It's just a matter of making sure that you have positioning to go ahead and like grab this bottom Dreadnought, and that just seems to be where the fights are always happening right now, and it is important. Blackhand is going to see that they are a little bit behind in terms of the score, but overall, like, these teams are still neck and neck right now, so we'll see how it goes. It looks like Blossom finally does lock down that Rotom, but we will see if they're just going to let it go and just get ready for that Dreadnought at bottom.
So we're actually going to see, of course, the Rotom go ahead and drive in for Team Blossom up there, and that's before the Dreadnought fight takes place, because then you see the rings unbound right now, so that can bring in the rest of the team. Mike Spam, wonderful job from Team Blossom, going to go ahead and try to stave off some people. You see the positioning now. Curio is going to bring in the squad. This is Avengers Endgame level. We're bringing in everybody. What, you wanted more? And so, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Spam now dropping pretty low as we see left side team. That's Blackhand. They are going to secure that Dreadnought. They have been fighting tooth and nail, and let's see if they can make this push, because now they could probably even up that score gap at least and bring that a lot closer. Yes, they are now going to be ahead. This is such an intense match, ladies and gentlemen. We have got to see, of course, what happens with the Zapdos play, but before that, who's going to maybe get in something here or there? You know, you have to determine, Kanashi, do we wait kind of for that final stretch? Do we try to fill these pockets, you know? They have the decision before them, so here it comes.
I feel like both of these teams are going to be playing it relatively safe. They might try to score here and there, but the idea behind it might just be to go ahead and farm up as much as possible, get some levels going your way, and then worry about, you know, just the Zapdos, because it is going to get to that point. Even though they are losing to Team Blossom, just applying more pressure to Blackhand right now, the score is still really close. So neither of these teams are pulling back their punches like Batman against, you know, Gordon. So just keep that damage going. It is something that Team Blossom wants to keep that momentum rolling, and Blackhand just needs to figure out, once again, it's going to be positioning, making sure that you have your abilities online, and making sure that you can get everything going your way.
So this is actually a nice little 32 right there for Blackhand just before we kind of get into that alert. You're on fire, and Blackhand has been on fire. They're looking pretty good going up against Team Blossom right now. That is going to be the secure of fast. Some beef is going down right now, and so this is very nice, because then you're also bringing down Lucario, maybe to allow you to take this Rotom after the, I guess everything is cleared, right? Because they're now taking out even more Blossom members with Rin falling as well. So this is very nice pick-offs from Blackhand to go ahead and secure that Rotom before the final stretch.
Ooh, this is a really important Rotom as well. So at 230, you have this Rotom applying pressure here. You either let it touch and not deal with it, expecting, you know, Blackhand not to be there, which can be the case, or you have to now also think about the fact that they could take Dreadnought as well. So both of these teams are applying the pressure. Blackhand is just trying to eat up more of the space right now. And if that happens to be the case, to go ahead and grab the Dreadnought, that is going to be the game plan. So now Blackhand just has to get in position, make sure that they can take this fight against Team Blossom.
Palms are sweaty, ladies and gentlemen. Mom Spaghetti, yes, that's right. Team Blossom is now here around the legendary pit along with Blackhand. They are ready, I think, because we are going to see that skirmish, and it's just who kind of throws out that first main Unite move that initiates the fight. The Zapdos is just being kind of poked and prodded, as you then see Team Blossom is actually sent on the run a little bit. They're pushing off into the choke, and there's that Rings Unbound right now from Mike Spam, as well as Overlord throwing down the Aura Cannon. We are going to see it start to pop off, I would say. There goes the Rings Unbound as well, ×2 now. So let's see, Kanashi, which team is going to actually bring down this Zap? This is going to be devastating for whichever team manages to lose this one. We are seeing, of course, some of Team Blossom. They are falling. And so right now, that's going to be Blackhand going to be actually able to secure this, and that's just what they needed. Ren, though, will book it. Beeline for that goal as well. We got to see Kanashi. The score's probably going to go left and right, because right now you have charged goals, but you also have Ren with that solid 41. So Blackhand, this is looking very nice, but also Team Blossom trying to keep up right here. What a goal. That is correct. 644 to 403. You're you're going to start to see those goals fly, and the people are dropping like flies in some cases, but now it's 660. That's a little bit harder. Retsu looking to score in right here at that 23 with all point values doubled. This could be anybody's game still. We only have about 30 seconds left, though, so Team Blossom has a lot of space to make up when you talk about this high level of play.
Yeah, they have a lot of space, but they do have 30 seconds to go ahead and try to see if they can find the opening. But Rin going down there, that is going to be huge. And now Retsu going to try to back out as well. We'll see if the rest of the team, if Team Blossom has an idea of how they want to go about this. But it looks like they are just going to try to farm, try to figure out a way how to get in. But 10 seconds left. Do they have enough time to even book it over here? They might just be trying to play a little bit of defense, understand like this might be it. Right here, Blackhand just applying so much pressure in that last fight. And, you know, if you had one moment, capture it or just let it slip right now, you know, Blackhand made that choice right then, right there to go ahead and secure this down.